And welcome back once again to Memoirs of the Father. I am your host, the Father, Alex Burnham. How is everybody doing today? I hope that you're doing well. Very excited for NCA this week. Or it may be whenever this video comes out. Who knows? I'm just sitting here plugging away. I know that's the next big cheerleading thing out there. To get to see some of the great collegiate teams. I got Brady competing with Navarro. Max is supposed to be in partner stunt with the University of West Georgia, so I'm very excited about that. Wish them the absolute best, and hope to see them do some great things. Both of them have a chance to win. Very excited for that always. And I've seen Max's routine that he's been working on. He sent me a video of it, and it's absolutely insane. So if he hits that on the band shell, I'm going to be ecstatic, and I think he is too. But today, we're going to pick up right where we left off last time, going into the 2019-2020 season. If you did not get to see that, or if you missed out, just to recap a little bit, 3-time defending national champion. We had some issues with some things, just behaviors, kind of struggling with some consistency, had some mistakes. We had a lot of things on our plate going into this year. I don't know if we always handled those things well, but that's what we're going to look at, what we're going to talk about. I'm probably going to break down some things a little bit more because a lot of this is a little bit fresher on my head than some of these other things were. And I'm still in close contact with a lot of these people today. So these things kind of hold more than just a historical value to me based on that I have a deep connection with a lot of these people. So let's not waste a whole lot of time. Let's just jump right back into it. So when we had come back and, we have our break time before we start our open gyms and all that stuff, getting ready for the new season, I didn't have a downtime. I think maybe within a week of coming home, I was back in the gym working. I had Jack and Caleb. I was both helping them getting ready for college tryouts. Jack tried out at Shelton State, Caleb at Western Kentucky. Both made it, but they were really crazy hours. I remember going with Jack and we would come in at 7 at night and not leave till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. 6, 7, and just me, him, and the top girl. It's a work rate. You come and you stunt with me, you come under the understanding that you're going to work really hard that day. I think Jack was very much the same mindset. We're going to put in reps. We're going to get in. We're going to push and push and push. We're going to get quantity. We're going to get quality. And we're going to make quantity into quality. That's kind of the mindset that we have. We push and we push and we push and we push. And we just go. I've got energy for days when it comes to stunting. So all that's going on. Now I've got Max, and I had Brandon, and I had Tanner that were interested in stunning, getting to work, trying to get better. And I kept it pretty small, too. There were some things that were kind of up in the air that we didn't know. I didn't know if Ben was coming back, just based on, ultimately he doesn't come back, but we're going to get into all that. But he had, had a lot of potential, despite the fact that his mother drove me crazy. But we didn't know. But I knew that Brandon was going to come back. I knew that Max was going to come back. And I knew that they were going to be seniors and going to be important pieces of what we're going to do. And I know that Tanner's going to come back. Tanner's going to be a sophomore. He did really, really well. His first year, we kind of threw him in a really bad situation. He made it work. And he's young and he's strong. And if I can get him in, kind of let him sit in the learning tree between me and the older guys, the people that he should be looking up to, putting him in a situation where he can grow, even if he's not improving his skills, even when he's not getting reps, there's an opportunity to grow and to learn and to pick up on things. And he was kind of the one that we signaled out of that group. But we were going to get a lot of guys too, because we had all of them coming back. We thought we had Ben. I think we had Big E. There wasn't very many returners from what I remember. And we only graduated the 2 guys, but we lost so many along the way from cuts or getting rid of them that we really kind of depleted our numbers quite a bit. But I've got all them coming in and studying with me. And now our best top girls, they don't want to come to anything. They want the break. So we take the girls who want an opportunity. We had Carly, Caroline, Maggie, and Jada, which Jada had been thrown in the year before. She did improve a whole lot her first year. Super eager to get in the air, super eager to get better. She's young. When you're young like that, they all take to it. Maggie had a small role the year before. Carly didn't. She wasn't on the mat. But she was looking to get experience. These are people that they didn't really have very prominent roles as top girls, maybe one stunt or this or that. But they wanted to get better and they wanted to get quality reps. And this is the time when you can stunt with the two best guys on your team. You have me, who is, at this point, I'm better than both of them at the time. That's not true anymore. But at the time, there's not really anybody around here at that time that was better than me. So you've got those three people to work with. We've got Tanner, and Tanner's great. We've got someone like Jada for Tanner. And we just kind of split up and we worked. And we were coming in 2-3 days a week. And we'd have other people come in sometimes, but primarily I know that us as a group, we were always together, always doing stuff. And it just kind of, that's the time, like I said, I had been so exhausted from all the extra drama stuff that was also going on during this time. The fallout from the previous season, all that's going on. And it was just really overwhelming. But we really enjoyed getting in there and getting to do the work and trying to, I had a lot of fun during that time. I remember that went on for several months, but I was really impressed with how much better all those girls got during that time. Jada, Carly, Maggie, and Caroline, all four of them, they improved a lot. And I'd had to talk with Max, because Max had the drop last year. And he had said something to me about whatever kind of leadership role that he was planning on all this stuff. And I was pretty straight with him, and he was very understanding of the situation. But I told him, I was like, you have to earn people's trust and their confidence back before you can call yourself a leader. That has to be the priority, because people saw you make the mistake. There was a whole lot about it. I knew a lot of people had probably been hanging on their head. There's tension here, and they need to know that they can trust you and depend on you. So the best way that we can do that is to come back here and strip everything down. We're going to strip it all back down to your basics. We're going to work on your technique. Because remember, he dropped a tall slip, so it's not like one of the most technical stunts. Compared to what you can do today, it's insane. So we're going to go back and we're going to fix all these things, because it's probably something fundamentally wrong if you're making mistakes on something that I would consider easy like that. That's a gimme stunt. A tall slip is like a staple that we do every single year in the routine at some point. And now, it's way beyond that. But lots of teams do it still. It's just, you see them in some college routines. It's just a basic, easy, boom, boom, boom. Lots of game day stuff. Super easy. Super, super easy. You're expected to do that. So if you're making mistakes on something that would be considered of an easy degree, it's probably something fundamentally wrong. Whether it's your toss, your grip, one of those things is off. So how are you going to fix that? You can go back and you're going to work on the basics. You're going to work on improving your toss with skills you can hit and trying to push them to an absolute perfect state. You're going to work on getting your good grips. You're going to do a variety of different skills, and you're going to do it with a variety of different people to demonstrate that you have full understanding of who you're doing it with and how you're doing it, and truly understand that skill specifically. The more people that you can do with, the more people it's an understanding that you have a better mastery of that objective. It's that simple. If you can only do that skill with one person, you don't have that skill. Unless, you just made the skill up brand new. But, there ain't a lot of people in the world doing stuff like that. There are, but it ain't happening all over the place. So, that's what I'm saying. So that was our goal. He was super understanding of that. Really took that to heart. And he did. We put in so much work during that time. It was really, really fun. It was hard, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the progress that everybody was making. And truthfully, I've said this before, if you can get me in a smaller area like that, if you can limit the amount of things that I have to focus on, I will be unbelievable. One-on-one is when I'm my absolute best. Those small settings like that are pretty close because I can still put in stunts. I'm watching other people stunt. I'm able to like pee back and forth. There's good pacing, and we can get quality. Like we don't have to just pound stunts. We were putting up a lot of stunts, but we were dictating the entire pace of everything, being deliberate. We were pushing ourselves, but we were being smart about the amount of time you were taking in between, just exactly what we needed in between reps. You don't need 4 minutes. Take a chance, getting our breath. Boom. If it's something that we really need to push or we're hammering it up, we'll pick up the pace. But man, we were doing a lot, and I was super, super happy and pleased with how those girls did. But when we came back to start our official open gyms, like the first day, and I had talked to the other coaches and told them, these are the girls that have been coming, and when we got there that day, I think Jada was the only one that got to fly co-ed, and I was disheartened by that because these girls had been putting in extra work, and I didn't understand. I thought they should get an opportunity, and it really seemed like, I'm painting it like it's this horrible thing. It wasn't just that one day. It was every day. And it's like they never. I was kind of disheartened. I felt like that was the time of the year where you can give people a shot, try new things, and I get it to a degree, but like in this circumstance was probably the only year that I really was just like, we should have done that. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure I brought it up once or twice, but like I don't know if. I mean, there were other reasons, I guess. Like for Carly, it was like, well, she needs to work on having her tumbling because she was going through a mental block thing. So that kind of made sense. Okay, focus on your tumbling, and then we'll put you in the air. The other girls, that just kind of didn't. I felt like we needed top girls. I felt like, we really didn't have a lot of people coming in that we thought, we're going to replace. And we were going to graduate, like Megan was graduating. So we had people that were seniors that we were going to lose that were in prominent roles. I felt like we needed more top girls. I felt like we needed to give out more opportunity. And for whatever reason, that just didn't manifest the way that I thought that it would. So I'm kind of disheartened a little bit right off the beginning. Just from that. In addition to all the I'm tired and all the crap that's going on at the school. I'm trying to think about who all we picked up this year. I think Ella came in, and the most socially awkward human being I think I've ever met in my entire life. Just terrified. Like, they're like, okay, if we're going to stunt, and she's just trembling when I go to grab. I'm like, this is not good. Because typically people that are that scared and that timid, does not work out for them. I was kind of irritated. I mean, she had some of the tumbling, but I was just, I wasn't super excited about taking her. I remember that. I thought that was like, she was tiny. They're like, well, you don't cut Tiny. I was like, Tiny ain't good if Tiny won't do nothing. Like, I was kind of on the fence about that one. I really don't. I think we had several transfers this year. I think Sidnor, I think Wynn had transferred. Of course, we had like MJ, Jaden, all of them. We had several returning. Brooklyn had moved back. Not Brooklyn that we cut. This is a different Brooklyn from the previous years. She left. Her dad was in the military. So she was with us for a year. Had to leave because the dad got stationed somewhere else. And then when his contract expired the next year and he was out, they moved back into the area. So she was back with us for that year. Loved her. She's a real sweet, nice girl. Hard worker. Just had to work really hard sometimes. But she was a super sweet kid. But yeah, I know there's people that came in. I just can't think of everybody. I think Izzy Gaines was there for a little bit in the beginning. and then she was gone after a while. I don't remember what all was going on with her, but we didn't really pick her up until the year after that. But I knew she started coming in around that time. Um, but yeah, so I think there were other people that we ended up picking up later. Because we'd already had Caroline and Lily, and they would have been seniors with this group. But we'd gotten them the year before when they were in eighth grade. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of where we are on the girl end. And on the guy end, we picked up a bunch of guys. We took so many. I mean, we had, of course, Max and Brandon. We took Ben in the beginning, but we lose Ben. We picked up Hunter Staggs. We picked up Colton, weirdest kid you'll ever meet. The Hazel twins, who I wanted to cut because I thought they were terrible. We picked up several football guys. We lost almost all of them except for one. We kept Clark. And if I gotten to go back and like when I first met them, of all the ones that I wanted to keep, he was the one that I wanted the most. If I had a choice in him, he's the one I would have taken. And the reason being is that he played football, but he wasn't really like a star on the team. And one of the other boys was. But he had a really good personality. He had good energy about him. He was fun. He laughed and played around a lot. But he had some qualities that you definitely think would be moldable. Like there was some he was also super short, which means anybody can back spot him. And I was, he's strong guy, very, very strong, muscular. He's built well. He's just shorter. But in that case, it was great because if we don't, I mean, we've got Max who's super tall. We don't have a lot of other super tall guys. So that's, always a beneficial quality. But yeah, Elijah came over this year. We picked up just a slew of people. I think at one point I think we had like 15 guys or something. Is the most we'd ever taken. Most we'd ever taken by far. So we had all that going on. I was kind of against how many guys we took, but we knew we'd lose some. We didn't really know who was going to work out. It was just really a preposterous thing that we took so many, honestly. It really was. It ended up self-correcting, like I said. I mean, we started at 15, but we didn't. I think maybe we ended up with like 9, I think, maybe is what we finished with. Because we lost we lost 4 of the 5 football boys. So that's almost all of it right there. Then we lost Ben. So that's 5. So yeah, that's probably about right. I mean, Ben had come in the beginning and just said he wanted to do it. And then he was leaving. He wanted to get a job and pay for stuff or whatever. Then he came back for a little bit and then he quit again. But yeah, Ben was just a wreck. Ben would have a really bad year. I remember that. Ben did not have a great time this year. It was, man. I guess we'll take a moment to address the Ben story. So Ben, I started this a few episodes ago. Ben was this really shy, sheltered kid, and he just got a little crazy. I don't know if his mama had him so wound up tight that it was just one of those kids like the leash was so tight that the minute it came off, the dog was going to run. And he was running. Just dumb stuff. Ends up getting a young lady pregnant. Gets, man. And like he's in high school. Here's a baby. And I'm sure his mother was furious. And I don't know. He was such a weird person because like, I don't know. I think the guys was messing with him a little too much. I think he just took stuff a little too seriously and just odd. Like he did not think, or the logic and the reasoning behind everything that he thought or did was just preposterous. Like, just a kid. He's just a dumb kid, dumb teenage kid that dug himself into too many holes, man. So I think now, this is funny because it's like the head coach's niece that he gets pregnant and has his baby with. So like, even though he's not on the team anymore, he ends up dealing with this psychopath forever. And it's an awesome story, really. It's not really mine to tell entirely. He's doing so well now. I want to say that his kid is older. I think his name was Baylor is what he named him, which is a cute name. Cute name. And the mom is not in the picture anymore. She just left the kid with him and like ghosted. But he's married now, and he looks super super happy. I think he works really hard. I think he does like some manual labor. I think it's good labor, and I think he's doing really well. And he does a really good job of taking care of his kid and taking care of his family. So Ben, for all the things that messed up, and at the end of the day, you turned out into a good man, and I think that's what we set out to do from the beginning with. So I will take credit for all of the good things that you turned into. And but yeah, just he had to grow up really fast because he put himself in a position where he had to do that. And uh, all in all, it worked out. I think it worked out okay for him. I think he's in a good spot. It took him a long time, but very very happy about what he's made out of his life, given the hole that he put himself in at times. So super proud of him. But let's just kind of jump into this season. I think that's the best way to go. I I don't really know. I felt like I was kind of waiting in the beginning to see what was going to click because we didn't really. I mean, we had Brandon and we had Max, and then we had Tanner was doing well, and then Big E was probably the next closest one. That was he was going to be a senior, but he was still really limited. And then it's just kind of opening the floor for these young guys and who can do this and who can do that and what does somebody have to offer us that's going to be productive. And you know you don't really know all that in the beginning. Um, but man, it was just kind of. I remember it being like a slow process and all that stuff. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of hard work. I was really excited. A lot of my free time at this point I've spent studying with Jaden, who's continued to get outstanding and outstanding. And I mean, I'm studying with her all the time. Love studying with her. But I'm really kind of waiting for the team as a whole to kind of click and form. And I don't know really how all that stuff was going at this point. And it's kind of slow, but like usually our kids have such dominating personality that the returning people just kind of it's easier for people to flow into it. Some of the other stuff, takes time, but like the energy thing is something that picks up pretty early. And I just remember they talked a lot, which is normal. That's cheerleading, but like I just couldn't tell you, man. It always felt like something was missing with this group. And I mean, I was pretty frustrated at a lot of people in general. I was really frustrated with Randy Joe because she hadn't gotten a heel stretch. And I was like, if you spend any time working on it, you will have it. And I was like, I don't understand how you're not working on that. She's one of our better top girls, and it just limits us. And I feel like a stretch is not that hard. Something that you're supposed to have. I think it's something that's expected of you. And it's something that, as talented as she was, she should have it. I can do hand in hands and back handspring ups with her, but she can't do a heel stretch. So it's like, what are you more likely to do in a routine in high school? A back handspring up, which at the time wasn't even legal, or a hand stretch? Let me think about that one. Let me ponder that. Let me put that in my Coach's Greatest Mysteries novels that I'm working on. Just outstanding coaching facts that I've figured out. Put that in the book. What are you more likely to do? But like I said, I mean, the summer was pretty traditional. I just remember doing all the same stuff that we always do. We did our camp at home this year because we had lost the privilege of getting to go on trips because of behaviors the year before. I remember I did not like the routine that we got. I remember that for a fact. Hated it. And it was, I mean, a lot of the routine was predicated on Max and Brandon. And we had a conversation going into this that we were going to try to not put as much on Max's plate to make it easier on him, given that he had had the mistakes the year before. And for the sake of like, well, if he makes mistakes again, we'd hate for him to start making mistakes everywhere. So that was part of the conversation. And then, we completely disregarded that thought at choreography camp, and he was in everything. But really the only thing that I remember being super crazy about was our pyramid, first pyramid, which we did a full up. one guy, one girl, unassisted toss full up. It's really not like a crazy special pyramid, honestly. But at the time, guys weren't doing that. You didn't see a lot of people do pyramids like completely unassisted, nothing. And it was for them, a full up was pretty easy. And we just kept it like a little transitional piece. And that pyramid was beautiful. Always looked beautiful at practice. We typically executed that pyramid at an outstandingly high level all the time. But like I said, for the most part of the routine, I just wasn't super crazy. We did that. They had the single bracer rewinds had come in, and that was the new rule. So we wedged that in there, and I wasn't really that big on it. I don't think that they look that good. You know, I don't think that it's hard. But at the time, I just really didn't like the way that it looked. It's hard to like transition out of that when everything else needs two bracers. This can be done with one. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to. You start having moving a lot of pieces around, which is fine to a degree, but like, this is high school cheerleading. You know what I'm saying? It's not all star. Some people aren't as adaptive to doing things. It makes it not cleaner. It hurts stuff that makes it harder to keep your timing together, harder to keep the visual image together that you're wanting to put together, and harder to fit the taste that UCA has, because you can't book an NCAA style routine for UCA and hope to score well. You're not going to. So that's what we have to keep in mind too. But I mean, in general, it was a fine routine. A lot of potential to it, what we thought it could be. I think we started off like just toss hands libs. I remember we were doing the half up, half round to extension. I think we're maybe doing a down lib at the time. I don't even remember. I know that's what it ended up being. Did the full up pyramid, cheer, super simple, what we always do. MCHS, crimson, white, same thing. Second half, I think we were pushing. We probably started doing like a bump and go extensions, which is not crazy hard. But the second half, we really weren't doing anything harder than that, honestly. But we were going to try to maybe push that envelope there, and we did later on. And then the pyramid, we had that. We had a pyramid that was inspired by the dance from the movie White Chicks, where the two black guys are going undercover as two preppy white girls in the Hamptons, and they do that dance in the nightclub where they like flip over. We put that in a pyramid and thought that was the best fucking idea ever, and it wasn't. We'll get to that at some point, but that legitimately, that was the inspiration for that, was the dance in the White Chicks movie. So, in general, like I said, after choreography camp, we were back home, which we are back home. We never left, sorry. So we're just getting right back into working it, and things just seemed kind of stifled. I think we had Colton some stuff, and then he got a concussion, and he was out, and he was having like lingering effects. So we were reworking this and reworking that, and I just remember things were just really rough. Jaden had, over the summer, we had found out she had some kind of knee injury, and she had like a grade 2 PCL strain, which is basically a tear. And at first we thought she was maybe going to have surgery and be out for the whole season, and that was just going to kill me. When she came back, she was struggling a little bit. And I wouldn't say struggling, but she had missed so much time, so her jump was affected a little bit. And then she had like this, she had like a sleeve brace and stuff like that. But anytime her knee felt weak or anything like that, she needed to take a break. She didn't want to risk doing it. I think there was a little bit of timidness at times. So like, it was just taking her a little bit while to get back in that groove and get readjusted and get back to doing things the way that she had done. But also being mindful and protect herself, because if she shreds that, that's it. She's done. That surgery, she'll be out for a whole year, So we had a lot of that was going on, and then the new guys were just kind of getting integrated. We lost several, but we were pretty weak on the guy end. I mean, some of them just seemed like they were struggling with, like Tanner was having trouble with the sequences a lot and just kind of being sporadic. But I think the attitudes were particularly bad. Um, I mean, I have no problem saying it, but like, I mean, me and Brandon clashed a lot because Brandon's head was very big at this point. Um, wasn't always that way, but I think he was just. I won't say that he. Brandon knew he was good, and Brandon knew he was important to the routine. And Brandon wanted people to just shut the fuck up. I remember him. We were working on a pyramid, and he was tired. I mean, he'd been working all day, and he was just pissed off. He's like, "I just want you guys to shut the fuck up, so we can do this pyramid." Not wrong. I still jumped his ass for it. The way he said it, the way he talked to his teammates. You need to invite them in. You need to bring unity. Get you're tired. I get that you're irritated, but like those people are going to be important to you winning later. But we clashed about a lot of stuff like that. You know, me and him together specifically, things he was doing that I didn't like. They're pissing me off. We talk about it. Most of the time it's just me yelling at him. That was pretty much the conversation. And there were times when I did go back and I would have in-depth conversations about the stuff. But we were clashing a little bit. Like I said, it wasn't terrible. I understood where he was coming from. And it was just, is more delivery than intention. I never felt like he was going off the rails about things that were necessarily untrue or ridiculous. I just felt like he wasn't expressing it always in the way that he needed to. And that was something that he was just going to have to learn, and we were going to, I think it just kind of had that football mindset. You know, we had him, and Biggie was awful to people at times. And I tore his ass one time because I was just furious. I was like, I don't know what talent you think you have that merits your ability to talk to people this way, but I can tell you this right now, you don't have it. And I was just like, I don't know if you think that you're that much better than anybody, if that's why you're doing it, or if you think that because you're experienced, because you experienced like you were on the floor for nationals, but like that's you were doing shoulder sets. Like you don't have any room to be disrespectful to anybody. I was just super pissed with them. Um, some of the girls were at war about stuff. There was just like clicky or drama or people they didn't like. Like I said, there was a lot of division within itself. And that's why I said I really didn't feel like this team was clicking. I don't that they didn't always have great chemistry together. There were times they didn't always like each other. It was very difficult to be in. Um, and that's kind of where we're struggling because I just remember things being slow, not the way that I want them to be. You want to move up like you're on an escalator, steady, but in an upward motion. And I felt like we were standing still at times, and I'm just kind of irritated by all that. Like I said, I see the potential of this team. I think that it's there, and if they can just get out of their own way and come to work, it'll happen. But for whatever reason, we can't get that to happen. But there was a big lack in leadership on the team because there was nobody that people could trust, and nobody that was going to do it right. Um, I mean, Brooklyn had been gone the whole previous year, so nobody knew her really, except the ones that cheered with her. A lot of people didn't know her. And then we had Megan, who I think a lot of people would listen to. She just wasn't someone who would speak. I had Jillian, who was someone who had no problem speaking, but nobody ever wanted to hear from. And then I had Max, who had the drops. I had Brandon, who was being an asshole to people. And I had Big E, who had done nothing and was being an asshole to people. Um, so how do you make that work? How do you reinvent that image? And I don't. Eventually, it does happen because eventually, like Max, through his persistence and getting better and being consistent, he ends up eventually being someone that people really look to and really want to hear from. And eventually, he takes over that role, but it's not until much, much later. And we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. But that was something that naturally happened organically. I never knew the solution to that. I mean, I knew things that like we could do, but like this team just did not want to buy into what we were saying or what we were thinking. And we'll get into more of that as we go too. We had gotten wind pretty early on that Brother Martin was going to go from the large co-ed division. They were going to drop down and go medium, which I was like, okay. They had never been able to win in large those years. They were there, and they were not a good team, but they weren't a bad team. They just seemed like they were right there at the door. It was like there was always something missing or being short of something. It was kind of like they had never beaten Graves County at that time. They couldn't get higher than third place, I don't think. So that's kind of what the story was. They were going to come over here. And so instantly people are talking about that. And I was like, I'm not really that concerned. I mean, they're a good team, good competition. Absolutely. I'm not being disrespectful to that. But, like, I'm not treating them any differently from how I've ever treated anybody else. You know, maybe I didn't know. Originally, I didn't know if they were making the drop because they just couldn't get the guys, or if they had to make the drop because they eventually we found out because they thought they were going to beat us and thought that we were just going to be. I took offense to that, and it pissed me off. And I get it. You want to put your teams in the best position to win. I think I was offended by the idea that you thought it was going to be any easier against us than it was anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you clearly don't think that we're of that caliber if you think you can just do that. That was the way that I looked at it. And, I just kind of wanted to showcase that was not going to be the case. Wanted to demonstrate what we were capable of. And that we were programmed to be respected. I have no problem. You want to challenge somebody and you want to come take your shot, have at it. But you need to don't be talking about a lot of things unless you want a response. And, they weren't ever disrespectful about it. It's not like anything like that. But, like, you have to have that as a competitor. They never said that. Nobody ever said that. But that's the truth. That's the meaning behind it, is that you thought we were easier to beat. And maybe that was true, but it, pissed me off anyway. And I just want my team to buy into that, to have some pride and respect in our program and what we're doing. But I just, like I said, there was always a lot of people texting me and stuff on the side about drama and arguing, and it's all personal crap that really doesn't matter, not in the grand scheme of things. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of fighting and trying and begging to get everybody to get on the same page. And I don't, I talk to the other coaches about it, and I don't ever want to be negative about it because they're kids, But I was just, between all the fallout from the year before, the drama, everything that was going on right now, and I remember I was just so beat down and physically fatigued because I hadn't stopped. My body was wearing out. My knee was super, super bad. I was getting all kinds of physical therapy just constantly throughout this year just to keep myself going. But it was, it was rough. And I think there were like a few weeks probably in September we were doing like full outs and stuff, and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. And I sat on it for a little bit, and then probably it was a practice in October. I couldn't tell you when it was, but I went up to Jennifer and I said, when I just want to let you know when this season's over with, I don't plan on coming back. This is going to be it. And she asked me why. Both of them did. They were kind of surprised, and I think that they thought that they could talk me out of it. And I didn't really go into a lot of detail. I was also afraid to unlock that. If I open the jar, when stuff starts coming out, I can't put it back in the jar. And I also feel like once I start going, I don't know when I'll stop. I was just frustrated and irritated. What I said specifically was my body's hurting. I just don't. The time, the energy, I just don't have it. And, and they tell me like, oh, well, you don't have to do stuff. I was like, yeah, I do. I can't. I can't not be physically involved. If I'm sitting here with the capability and there's someone that needs my help, I can't say no. I know that sounds easy. I couldn't do it. But like I said, I just, I felt like I wanted it more than they did, and that's not a good mix. And then I was pissed off that other people didn't want it the way that I wanted it. I was pissed off that people weren't willing to do what they were supposed to get it. I was mad that we couldn't focus and that people couldn't act right. I was mad that we had no leadership. I was mad that people had been here and had no confidence in themselves, no confidence in their name, no confidence in us. Like, I'm telling you what to do and you're not listening to me. You're doing it deliberately because you don't trust me. I tell you something and you're like, oh, well, they're just saying that to keep us positive. I'm telling you it because it's the fucking truth. I don't lie about what we do on that mat. Not the score sheets, not nothing. I worked really, really hard to have what I have and to know what I know. And I pride myself on having what I have and knowing what I know. And because I earned it, worked hard, I paid attention. Listen, there's a lot of people in this industry that are absolutely idiots. Absolutely idiots. I ain't one of them. Paid attention. I learned things. I learned what I need to do to put your teams in the best positions to be happy, to understand scorecards, to understand competition, all this stuff. I know what I'm talking about. From technique, from office work, all of it. And I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't get them to buy into it. They didn't believe me, didn't believe us, or whatever it was, but it just wasn't gelling. I just said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's making me more miserable than it is happy. And at this point, I had already wanted to quit months prior. And at this point, I was just like, this is just a sign that I need to go. So that's how we proceeded. Now, really close to actually having to compete. It's fall break. Fall break. Carly, she was in the routine. She was in a couple of stunts, but she had like her appendix exploded or something, or was rupturing something. Had to have emergency surgery while she was down there. I think she was in Florida or somewhere like that for fall break, and so she's out of the routine. And we had this girl Amber that was a side base. Amber was super tiny. I would stunt with Amber sometimes, but she really didn't like to fly. And I kind of had to like force her to do it. I think she was curious to try it. And then after she did, she decided Amber likes ground. Amber is safe. That's what I told her. But I like to sometimes play jokes on people. And I am very childish and immature. And I am not super great with the responsibilities that I have been given. But it's funny. So Amber is on this side of the floor where Carly was. Now Carly's out. We need someone that can be a top girl. Amber's literally right there. There's the stunt, 6 feet in front. There she is doing like the motions up front. Awesome. It's a toss hands extension, not hard, and it's with Max, who's one of my better guys. And Jennifer, this is the next practice. Jennifer said she was running late. Told me what to warm them up with. I said okay. Never said anything specific to me about anything at all. But I saw the opportunity, and I was like, let's play the game. So I went up to Amber, and I told her, I was like, hey, I just got off the phone with Jennifer, and she told me she really wants to see you flying this stunt like you're right here. And she's like, oh my God, no way. She's like, did Jennifer really say that? And I was like, oh, absolutely. That's 100% what Jennifer said, word for word. Why would I make that up? And I was totally I lied straight up to her face. I just wanted to see. First, I thought it was just going to be a joke. So she's doing it a couple times. Jennifer comes in while she's doing it. It's hitting. What do you know? It's almost like someone manipulated these situations. I don't know who could have done that, but she's like, oh my God, is this really gonna happen? It's like, yeah, it's happening. Like it's and we even asked Max, like, who do you want? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. Because it was probably just gonna be for this one competition, and then we knew Carly was gonna be back. So we're like, okay, for one competition, we're competing against nobody. It's bluegrass regionals. What do you know? Let's fucking do it. So it ended up being a joke, but I got her. I won that. I got her in the air. Maybe it been something small, and she maybe didn't really want to do it, but she did it for us, and I was most impressed by that because she was scared to do that. I remember her she was just, I always say, like, she didn't like being a top girl. She liked the bass. But I think that she cared. I think that it meant a lot to me that even though it was something that she really didn't want to do, like really did not want to do it, and something that made her uncomfortable, but she put all that bullshit aside for the team and did what her coaches asked her to do. I'll take a kid like that every day of the week over the best people in the world. People that are willing to take a chance and listen and see what happens and give their best to make something happen for their team, for their coach, because it's a responsibility. It's their privilege. Love that. Take that kid 10 out of 10 times. Never say no to somebody like that. Our bluegrass regionals we go. I don't remember a whole lot about that. I know we had some drops. I know it was not perfect. I don't think it was terrible by any means. But I know we had a couple mistakes. It's been a while since I've seen it. But Max didn't have any mistakes. So we were super pleased about that. First time being out on the floor, like in a competition setting since all that. And he did really, really well on these skills. And then we compete. Our next competition is against Graves. We host this one, the KHS Delay Sectionals is what it was called. But it was there at McCracken County High School. So we were excited about that opportunity. We had somebody out hurt. I remember that. I don't remember who it was. Somebody was not doing well. Somebody was hurt. We're just getting the shit into the stick right now is what we've been doing. And Graves County is got a routine that's almost identical to ours. I mean, almost identical. We're both doing like the half round. We got similar stunts, similar everything. This is just it was at that time it was almost as close as we could have gotten in comparison to each other. It was super, super easy to tell who was better and who wasn't. Because the skills are so similar that, well, it's whoever makes a mistake. It's pretty simple, you know. But yeah, we weren't healthy. We didn't have everybody together. We'd thrown some stuff in, and it just wasn't good. Not good. It started off fine, but we had mistakes in several stunts. We had a pyramid bobble. I mean, we probably had 5, 6 points worth of. I mean, it was a pretty good chunk. And then Graves, hits the routine. I think they ended up winning by 10 points in total. So it was kind of disheartening, but like with everything that was kind of going on, the injuries, I think we kind of went into that knowing this is just we have to survive at this point. We know we're going to get to go to state no matter what, because the top two teams go, and there's only two teams, so not a lot of stress on that. But we not long after that competition, Tanner comes to us because his knee's out. He's done. Some kind of injury with his knee. He had seen the trainer. The trainer says he's going to be out. It's like the week of state. And the last few weeks since that competition, they beat us that bad. I felt like our kids just were absolutely deflated. And to me, this is my absolute last chance to compete against Graves County. I would like to win. I'm from there. That's where I started. I left there. I would really like the last time that I win. I know I'm going. I know I'm out the door. I want to win. And it's personal to me. That's all that it is. I understand that motivated me a lot. I understand that it's greed and it's selfish and it's stupidity. I don't care. I wanted it. I'd done so much. I felt like I could, and I was fighting every single day at practice, trying to get a spark, trying to get energy, trying to get them to buy in and believe in what I'm saying. I mean, I was speaking passionately every single day, pouring my heart out for weeks, and it just wasn't fucking clicking. And I was like, I'm just not going to quit. Like, let's do this. And I did believe it. I had sat down there, we looked at the score sheet together, and I broke it down in that classroom in front of everybody. This is how you overcome a 10-point deficit. And I broke it down. I told them, I was like, I'm confident. You take away the deductions, you look at the execution scores, you look at what did, you look at what you missed out on difficulty, you look at the changes we're going to make. We can do it. 10 points is a lot. But I'm not stupid. We have the Hazel twins who have survived all of what I've put them through from doing push-ups and extra stunts. They've improved a little bit, enough that we think we can use them in a small quality role. Well, at this point, we don't have a choice on it. And we're also not limited. So we're just putting both of them out there. Every fucking guy that we can put on this team, they're on the floor just about. Because there's no limit for us, and we need the bodies to make up for the stuff that half of you guys don't know how to do. One of you knows how to do this. One of you knows how to do that. And somewhere in the middle, we'll all figure it out and we'll put it together. What 7 people do, we'll teach a way to make 10 people do it. That's kind of the way that it went. So she tells me to take the Hazel twins, and I have to put one of them in the pyramid that Tanner was in. We find ways to fix, and patch everything else in this routine. Upgrade the first stunt to a toss-up. I mean, we've been working on it for a while, but everything that I can. Okay. And how do I make this decision that could monumentally affect the rest of our season? I take both of the Hazel twins, and I tell them, you guys are playing rock, paper, scissors, and whoever wins is going to be in this pyramid. And Hunter Hazel was better at rock, paper, scissors. So I put Hunter in the pyramid. And it just starts hitting. And Max is 100% mugging him. He was the back spot. Max was making that hit. Hazel had his hands up. Randy Joe's doing her job. But Max is throwing the rewind for him, basically. He's doing it in such a way. He's so big. He's put on so much muscle. He's gotten so big. He took to heart all that change. Getting in good shape, eating right, protein. I mean, put on a ton of size in good, healthy way. He's just manhandling her up there. Before her feet can even touch his hands, he already has his feet around her ankles. It's not dropping. He's not letting that hit the ground. But the whole energy starts changing. Why? Because if he can walk out here and do this, why can't we do this? It was something positive when we had not had a lot of positive things going on for a while. And we went out there that night, the same night that we put him in this, practiced for an hour, went out there and performed at halftime of the ball game, and absolutely murdered this routine. Perfect. Perfect. And we all came back, and I had to say it. I told you so. If you buy into that, because here's the thing, is that us putting Hunter in that didn't change the things that we didn't put him in. Those other things that were dropping, those other things that were having mistakes, that change didn't affect those. That was all in the head. That was the mind. That little bit of energy, that little bit of hope, that little bit of push that keeps you on the line when you don't think that you can. That's all that was missing. So that became apparent at that point. It's all about you and how you attack it. Because us making that change doesn't make this stunt that he's not even in better. Do you understand what I'm saying? Energy is real. Mindset is real. Believing, seeing, having confidence, those are real things. And it was fully on display. And I think our young friend Colton, he, man, they called me. Was at school weightlifting. And Jennifer called me. She's like, hey, I think Colton broke his hand. He's doing cleans. I was like, oh. I was like, well, I guess we'll find out. And then she sent me a picture of it. And it's like, his arm is shaped like an S in a place where it's not supposed to be shaped like an S. Not at the elbow, not at the wrist, somewhere in between there. And I'm like, that's not good. I mean, it's a clean break. For sure, clean break in half. I was like, buddy, that's not good. So Colton was out, which he was I think he might have been in some small stuff. But like I said, at this point, we were hodgepodging so much stuff together. But it was a crazy, nasty injury. I remember that. Like, it was disgusting. And I was like, how'd you do that? So that was the end of Colton's first year. Pretty much, he still gained a whole bunch of stuff, but that was the end of his active stuff. So at this point, like, these Hazel twins that I wanted to get rid of, they're like the last two, buddy. And Hunter's doing really, really well. Joseph's not bad, but Hunter's been given more opportunity. So he's looking better. But we're going to roll into state in Lexington in December. All Tech Arena. Going up against Graves County. And there's several teams there. It's not just Graves County. But those are the top two teams. Those are two highest scoring teams. I think Barron was probably in there. I don't really remember how everybody placed. We ended up going, I think we went early because usually the teams that lose at those regionals go first. And then, because the idea behind it is that the weaker teams should be there. You're more likely to have a candidate at the top that's won before. Not always, but more likely. So in our case, we're sandwiched between some teams that are not super fantastic. I think we had a good energy about us in general. I remember the warm-up was pretty good. We roll out. I remember the music starts and boom. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff. We had really good energy and performed really, really well throughout that routine. First stunts hits, great. The tumbling looks good. We get all of our second stunts up. The first drop we have, Max is doing his pyramid. It's full up. And Hunter drops the toss to hands that's beside it while it's got a hold of the pyramid. So one kind of yanks the other one down. I'm like, well, that's not good. But really, outside of that, the cheer's fine. Second half is fine. We have no other mistakes. I was like, okay, well, we have the one drop for sure, and I kind of thought we were going to get like a pyramid hit. So I was like, okay, that's not terrible. It's not great, but usually at this point of the year, one mistake kind of happens. It's kind of been like the running thing. And then I don't really remember. I remember when Graves went. They had changed their first stunt from a toss loop to a toss stretch, and I was like, well, shit. So that's immediately harder than what we were doing. Toss loop, toss stretch. Easy, easy write off right there. And they dropped one of their half round stunts. And then, I mean, the rest of the routine was pretty good. I don't remember all of it, but I remember it hitting it was well. We kind of thought that we needed to be perfect. That was kind of our mindset. And we knew that we weren't. So we just kind of told them, hey, we don't, just be ready for anything, I think is specifically what we said. But our choreographer, a couple weeks before, told us we had absolutely no chance of winning this competition. And he is the commentator for the event. And he gets the scores so they can talk about them before they're actually announced in the arena. That way they have it all there. That way they can look at the information when they're talking about it on the air. He gets it. He looks older enough, so he's got a big smile. She's like, I don't know if that's a good smile or a bad smile. I was like, it's probably that ha ha ha, I told you you couldn't fucking win smile. But that's kind of, I mean, I remember them running through the awards. Obviously, we get down to the final two, and it's us. And they announced Graves County in second place, and like we can barely kind of contain ourselves. Like I'm overwhelmed because this is my last time that I'm going to get to do this dance, or I thought it would be, and I really wanted to win. And we'd had a hard year, just gelling, connecting, making things work. And we finally did it. A little bit of positive momentum. And, they called us in first. There's a video that circulated. I've seen several of the kids post it. It's, you can physically see me when they announce it, and everybody kind of stands up. And you can see it's like the air kind of leave my body like a big gasp, and I look relieved. Just ecstatic. I was super proud of that. Obviously, we had the mistakes for everything we put into it. Like I said, it just seems so impossible some days. It really did. And I believed that we could do this, and I fought and I fought and I never stopped it. And, they found a way to make it all click. They took the energy. They brought it out there on the floor. They got it done. Could it have been better? Sure. But given all those circumstances, man, fuck it. We did it. I was ecstatic. But all that just took a lot out of me. And the energy was better. Like I said, I felt like we kind of leaned on Max as being like the leader. The team had kind of naturally gravitated to him. I feel like he had done enough to demonstrate that that's what he could be. I felt like I could check out. How many national seasons have I done now? At this point, it's just the come in and practice. There's nothing I can do anymore. So it's whatever. That was what I went with. I decided I'm not going to stress about it. It works itself out, is what I said to myself. It works itself out. It always does. Why am I going to stress about it? Why am I going to fight about it? Why am I going to bring this up anymore? I'm just here. I'm going to coast my way out the door. At this point, our routine's not going to get any harder. We just need repetition. And I'm going to go home. I don't know why I did that. I ultimately don't think that it would have changed anything. But I don't really remember why I thought that was a good idea. I remember why I wanted to do it. I was just tired. My body was beat up. I was mentally fatigued beyond anything I'd ever been through, been in. And I didn't even really want to be there anymore. I didn't really want to go to any more practices. I was just, like I said, I was just kind of, to me, I just wanted to kind of walk through and reminisce on it all and say goodbye to it. But there was work that still needed to be done. I think I took my responsibilities for granted. I mean, I wasn't horrible or nothing like that. I was still coming in and laughing, cracking up, and having a good time. I just wasn't stressing about the stuff. Like I said, I just thought it'll work itself out. Nothing for me to worry about. Um, we go through fast forward. We get through Christmas stuff. We go to the V Rock Moorhead Showcase. I remember the first time we went through V Rock, we smack. Our first run through at the Moorhead Showcase, we had one drop. I remember some of the girls looked kind of nervous about it, and I went and I was like, I dressed them and I was like, what's going on? I was like, you guys don't look positive about it, is what I told them. And they were upset about having the mistake and just being ready. And I was like, listen, I was like, we're gonna go twice. I was like, let's treat this like we do at nationals, because that's how it's gonna be. You're gonna get two chances. If the first one we have a mistake, that's okay. One, that's okay. The goal is to use that to get the nerves out. We're gonna treat this venue the same way we do at nationals, so that when you come out there the second time, you'll have gone through the experience. You know how to shake the nerves, get adjusted, and then hey, if we have a mistake the second time, we'll talk about it. Let's let's see if we hit. And they took to that really really well. We went back through, did the warm up, came back out there, hit it, and we're pleased. And energy was good, team was good. Like I said, I just felt like things were generally okay. No real grade problems. I mean, Hunter Staggs was kind of here and there. He was a little crazy. He was a handful, honestly. Um, but yeah, I just in general, I just thought things were cool. We did the O'Brien showcase, and really it wasn't bad except for one part. They did Big E and Randy Joe were doing the toss half up to reverse hands, and I don't know, he pulled it in or something like that, and she like spun, and it looked like a WWE Kevin Nash power bomb, the jackknife, just right on her head, man, just boom. It was fast, it was hard, and it hurt. I know it did. And she got up, and she looked like she was just in autopilot. Like the lights are on, but nobody's home. There's no expression on her face. She finishes out that routine. I don't know how. Hits everything, tough kid, but she looks a little rattled. Um, she ends up being okay, and but I remember that being a kind of a scary moment. I was just like, oh shit. So, I mean, we had issues with dropping throughout the year, just on some crazy stuff. But like I said, we just worked through it. It's when you're learning new things, you're learning new things that can also go wrong, and your body has to understand how to feel those things. The amount of new guys was probably the result of poor spotting. Probably led to a lot of those things, and some of them were just they're crazy, crazy, crazy things happen sometimes, and you got to be on your toes. Obviously, new guys aren't as attentive, and sometimes things go wrong to a point where no matter how good you are, you need the help. That's sometimes those things happen. It's just you get kicked out, you get hit in the face. You need somebody there to help catch in case you know you get wild. At least prevent serious injury. So we had stuff like that. But like I said, I thought going into this we were okay. I just felt like this is going to be all that. And to be honest with you, going into it, if we did not win, I didn't have a problem with it because I just felt like if someone comes along and they beats us, that's great because that means that somebody had to go be better. We had to make we had to inspire somebody to be better than us, which in turn has made our division better. And what more can you ask for? A lot of people want to go out as a champion. You know, I want to be able when I go. I want to say when I go is because I wasn't the best anymore. And I'm fine with that. It's the new. It's an acceptance to me. Is putting a stamp on what you've done. It's a definitive ending. It's the passing of the torch. And I have no problem passing that torch if someone can come and get it. Um, but yeah, that's just I've never had a problem with that. Um, and in a lot of ways, it's a perfect ending. It's kind of what I want. So we go to nationals. I don't really, man. I don't really remember a whole lot. Really, honestly, I remember bits and pieces. I remember we had a pretty good time. I remember that. I don't remember a lot of stress or anything like that. Good practices. Um, I remember we had our banquet, or it's not really a banquet, but the Friday night before we have the big get together, we have dinner with everybody and we have the big talk, like the emotional release, and then it's like our chance to get everything out before national. And I I had a conversation with Max. It was right after dinner before we went down. It was one of the realest conversations I've ever had with anybody. And he told me, he goes, I'm nervous because I know if I mess up tomorrow, my career is over. He had the mistake his previous year in his junior year. And he knew if he had two drops back to back in nationals that this was not going to go well for him. And I mean, he had offers on the table from Alabama, had expressed interest in him. There's several places that he was looking at going. Anyway, he'd gotten a lot better, a whole lot better. But going to the clinics, putting in the work, is very impressive. He was probably better than me at that time. Because he was doing some stuff I'd never even attempted to do. A lot of it was just in his own head. We talked about, you've done the work and you have to have confidence in that. Look back at everything you've done and you need to have a little bit of arrogance to yourself. That's kind of what I said. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you're capable of and just let it out. It's okay. I've told him many times, it's okay to be scared. Nobody's ever going to fret you for being scared. It's just, what, you going to fight or you going to flight? Run or fight. Those are your choices. And, we spoke for a little bit about it. I mean, there's not really a whole lot. It's not like I have the magic recipe. If that stuff's on your mind, there's not a whole lot I can do. Just shift it off. It's just the way that it is. But let's go ahead and just get to the day in question and get a little closer to wrapping this up. When we did the semifinals performance, a lot of stuff was really, really good. Good energy, good execution. We had one drop, and I didn't even notice it when it happened. Tanner had dropped his half around, caught it, and it towed before he could come down. It was on the ground. I didn't even see it. Didn't have a clue. When we come back after we said that, she's like, we just had the one drop right. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't see nothing fall. And I'm usually pretty good about spotting stuff. I did not see it at all. And we watched on the monitor back there, and I was like, I don't know how I didn't see that. I was like, I'm either in denial or I'm really relaxed right now. We got the score sheets back, which we knew we had the deduction for that. No big deal. We were in second place. Stewart's Creek was ahead of us. I think they had hit. And then Brother Martin was down at fifth. They had a deduction for something illegal. They had 5 points. So that really wrecked their score. Without that, they were going to be up there with the other us and Stewart's Creek. So we were like, okay, well, we've got two teams that are going to have a chance to play with us for sure. Stewart's Creek and Brother Martin. And Stewart's Creek had kind of been building themselves up for the last several years. They had been steadily and steadily getting better every single year. And this is just, they had a pretty good routine. I think it was pretty much the same kind of level as ours. And, us and Brother Martin were pretty similar. All in all, I felt pretty good. I'm not stressed out or anything like that. And we come back, just chill out for a little bit, come back over for finals. And I remember just kind of like, I think when we were coming up, it was starting to hit me. When you're walking up that pathway, it's like, this is it. This last time I'm going to walk up here. And the night before when we had that big talk, I think people were expecting me to speak because I was leaving, but I didn't say anything. As far as I knew, I'd said what I needed to say, or I was going to save it for the banquet down the road. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to enjoy all that, and I didn't know if I'd get emotional. I also wanted to have time to think about what I wanted to say. I wanted the full reflection on everything. But I'm thinking like, damn, maybe I should have said something when I'm walking up there. But yeah, it's all from there. It's just smooth. The warm up was fine. I think Biggie had dropped his toss lip a bunch. Like, I don't think he hit it at all. And it was like, oh shit. Yeah, I think he dropped like 7, 8. I don't know how many he dropped. And I remember when we were coming off, Jennifer was just like, that's all the time we got. We're done. And I'm pretty sure we still had time left. But it was just like, she's like, I'm going to cut him off. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to do it. But if she lets him keep going back there and he keeps messing up, he's for sure going to fuck up when he goes out there. Because it's going to get in his head. And she just cut it off. Now, that's crappy, but it's like, there's a difference between being on your toes and hammering yourself into the ground. And he was getting close to that territory who's going to hammer himself in the ground. So I'm sure the nerves are a little shot going into that on the team. But they, like I said, Max was doing a pretty good job as a verbal leader. I feel like everybody was kind of falling in line on all that stuff. So, we came out there, and I remember where I was sitting. I remember every single bit of this. I remember being super calm. I'm just sitting there. They came out, good energy. They hit the opening toss libs, which Biggie had dropped everyone back there. He smacks it. He's really animated, really, really going ham, going crazy. Everything's so good. The stunts are good. We hit half rounds. We have one little bobble on one of the all-girl ones on the far left end. I save it, keep it in the air. I'm like, okay, half a point there, but in general, pretty good. Well, I haven't decided if that's going to be enough yet. Full-up pyramids are gorgeous. Cheer is great. Second stunt's good. And we get to our pyramid. We do a arabesque hand-to-hand split between two mid-layers. Pops through to an arabesque. They pop to the front. Another guy grabs the foot. Taps, spins up to like a full up to hands. And then the bracer comes in from behind. Reaches underneath her legs like in the white girl movie. The girl that's in front. She front flips down and back flips back up. Rewind. I remember the energy in this room was just insane. Like there's electricity. That's a very real thing. Feeling it on the mat and feeling it in the air. Like when things are going good, people, you can feel it. Nobody has to tell you. It's a whole new world. It's really, really hard to explain if you have it. It's almost like a hive mind. Like the energy of the moment connects all of us in some way. It's like electricity. You can feel it flowing through you when things are going well. Brandon Mega's pyramid does the front foot forward. Go to the rewind back up. And it's just a smidge too far back. And I think it hits Brandon on like the fingertips and crashes to his shoulder. I remember Big E, Clark, everybody's trying to help keep it up, just keep her on him. Caroline's pulling up, and they eventually get it back up to chest level. And when this thing misses, you can hear everybody in the crowd audibly gasp, like everybody. It's so loud that you cannot hear the music. People were like, we had, that whole arena had been bought into what we were doing. And like right there at the end, they knew. They knew that what they were seeing was special, and then right there they were robbed of it. That's the best way to put it. When the pyramid misses, I remember I smiled because it. I mean, I knew we can't win anymore, but I also knew I don't have to worry about it anymore. It was, and it was something just unexpected, something that just probably a lapse in thought for just a second. That's really all that it was. But it was relieving because now I know that when this is over, I'm not really worried about the placement. Not worried about it. The stress sometimes of waiting in between those competitions to find out if you won is miserable. And I'm not going to have that. And, I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of the energy. Caroline out shining on the floor in her performance. Oh, my God. If you ever get a chance to watch this girl perform on any of the Nationals routines, she's absolutely outstanding. Mimic her and what she does. But, man, we had such great stuff. Good energy. And it just, one little thing at the end, it was enough. There were a lot of times where I didn't think that this team deserved to win. And maybe that's a little bit of what caught up to us. Karma, maybe a little bit of that. But the aftermath was not very pleasant. I was very accepting of everything until we got outside of the arena. Now we went back where we watched the video, and obviously there's people that are very, very upset. You come out after you watch the video, boom, and you just like circle back into the arena. And now we kind of go off into this area and kind of try to give the kids a room to vent, cry, because you're not winning. You for sure messed up. You're not. Have them room to kind of let it out, collect themselves, and we'll go back in there and handle our business the way that we're supposed to and be respectful and be who we are. We don't really make it back there. Megan had fallen in the pyramid. And Megan had also fallen the year before with Max. And I remember when I came out that door out back, she was sitting there crying. Right by the door. Basically had to step on her to get out. And it's not, it wasn't just a sob. Like, it's hysterical. She was hurt really bad by what had happened, and I hated that for Megan. I haven't talked a lot about Megan, but I really liked Megan. When I'd hurt my knee a couple years ago, and I was trying to come back and trying to do this without an ACL, she was the first person to say, yeah, I'll stunt with him. And when she did it, as good as she was, it set the tone that everybody else should do it. And I don't know if I can drag a few more years out of my career if I don't have someone like her to sell people on me. And she was always a person that I thought was amazingly talented. She just had so much going on in her life. It was obvious. I didn't ever ask questions because I always felt like if she wanted me to know, she would tell me. And I think other people knew. But she just always seemed like life was really hard for her. And when she's sitting there, I don't even know what to say to her. There's not a lot that you can say to someone in that situation that's going to provide them with any comfort. But I'm not upset at her. I'm disappointed in the outcome, but I wouldn't say that I was upset with her or nothing. But I just feel like I just thought I would make the situation worse if I said something. So I didn't say anything. I just kept on going, and
Brandon punched a hole in a wall inside the Disney All Star Resort, or not the resort, excuse me, ESPN Wide World of Sports building. And I know that because a customer from another team came up to me and told me that he had punched a hole in the wall. I was like, awesome, thank you. Was concerned that he probably would have broken his hand. He hit it so hard. So we had that, and then so that all gets back to Jennifer. She's kind of hot, so we bring them all out there and we sit down. Like, listen, you can't act this way. I understand you're upset, but you're not going to be act childish. You got what you deserved. We got what we did. Nobody's responsible for that outcome but us. It's that simple. And she said, no, I understand you being upset. Cry. We're going to get it out, and we're going to go back in there. We're going to be professional. No punching walls. And she said, no kicking bushes. And I was like, who the fuck was kicking bushes? And I remember Tanner said, yeah, kicking bushes. Who would do something like that? And I looked down at Tanner's feet, and he's got grass stains on his white cheerleading pants at the bottoms. And there is literally a twig from a bush sticking out of his shoestrings on his cheer shoes. So it was him that was kicking bushes. And yeah, man, it was kind of bad. And I mean, I understand it, but it was definitely over the top and definitely pissed me off. And I think I was very embarrassed by that. I was embarrassed more by that than I was anything else. I wasn't upset about losing. I wasn't upset about a mistake or any of that. It's my last nationals. We're gonna act like a bunch of dumbasses. And at that moment, I was like, man, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm so glad that the last few weeks, have been kind of chill, and I'm glad that I got this reminder of why I don't want to do this anymore. It's kind of what I thought. We went back inside, going over, go to the awards. We know what's going to happen. It's just where are we going to fall? Um, we didn't really know. I mean, we knew we were going to win and we are going to get second, third. We don't really know. We felt pretty confident we were going to fall in there. We get through the top four. They called us for third place. Sturts Creek got second. We were pretty close. I think like point two apart. And then Brother Martin had won. They'd fixed the deduction from earlier. They had a really good performance. They were very clean. Um, there was some stuff about the score sheet that I didn't 100% agree with. I know that to be a fact. And we talked about that stuff. There's no reason to air that out. Mostly because those only matter in the situation if we'd also hit. I think I would have had some issues with some of the scores. But we didn't. I feel like at the end of the day, they got it right. The team that should have won did win. Thought our placement was fair. I thought we should be in third. I thought the teams in second and first both hit. We didn't. So I was fine with that logic. Nothing to, the stuff that we talked about, we got it taken care of. They addressed it with us, gave us some clarity on what it was, made the adjustments on whatever they needed to make adjustments on. And I wasn't disappointed in anything after that. So, um, but obviously the big takeaway, I was proud of Max. Went out there and overcame all that stuff that would have been bothering him, and shook all that off and went out there and had a great performance after dropping the year before. And there were a lot of people that had really good performances. Hunter Hazel did really well. Clark did really well. There were people that who were going to be back in the next year that had done well, had good experience, and that's there were people that did really well. A lot to be proud of. Great performances from a lot of people. Just the one mistake. So, I was like, that's a pretty good way to end on. That's kind of what I was thinking. Um, I mean, it was kind of bothering me that I checked out, but like I said, I didn't really think that it would have made a difference. What ended up happening would be a fluke. I don't think they could have been any more prepared than what they were. Unless we were going to change something, I don't really think, but I just think I should have. done my job of being on people's ass and keeping people responsible and locked in. But when we come back, I remember I slept for like a week straight, just crashed, man. I mean, Disney World and all that stuff was really, really good with the team the next day. We flew back. It was no big deal. Everything was pretty cool. Um, but obviously, at this point, I just kind of thought that I'm done. When people asked me at nationals, I said I'm done. Um, I remember Jennifer asked me, and I just said I don't think really anything's changed. And then a few weeks later, I was like, I want to stunt. I want to stunt for me. I just want to do some stuff. And some of the kids had asked me about, changing my mind. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Of course, Jennifer had talked to me several times that week about changing my mind, getting a feel. Because if not, they were going to need to put it out pretty soon that they were looking for somebody. But we just, I don't really know what changed my mind. If it was 100% the kids, I don't think it was 100% anything. But the kids had a part in it. Just talking to me and talking about what they wanted to do. And, Clark specifically was a big part of that. The Hazels were too. And I liked them. I really, really liked them. We had very similar senses of humor, which is kind of a shame. I was double their age almost. But we always had a good time together. And they listened to me. They worked hard. I feel like they carried themselves the same way. Everything is a joke until it's time to go to work. But when it's time to go to work, we're going to get it done. They like to talk a lot of trash. They like to pick. Very, very similar to me. The way that they operate, the way they carry themselves in practice. And I really enjoyed that. They kind of saw it the same way that I did. You work when you need to work, and you have fun when you can have fun. Doesn't mean that you're going to be stiff all practice. Just like, hey, when the coach is counting, they need to see this for our routine. We're going to go out. We're going to do it the best that we can. It's time to showcase us. We want to be the best, so that we have more stuff to talk trash to you about when we're having that free time in between reps, and I can just mouth off to you or something. So, but yeah, I mean, super fun group. And then, Jennifer had talked to me several times that had kind of been in play, and the other assistant coach had like just had a baby, so it was kind of potential for a lot of transitions, scary. I was also a little bit embarrassed by everything that happened after nationals, the way the kids had responded, and I was kind of torn about that being my last image of them. I didn't want it to be that. I think I thought about Megan too, and the look on her face. I remember it. Remember everything I saw when she was crying, and I didn't want to see someone feel that way again. And I thought, okay, I can do one more. I wasn't sold on it yet. I wasn't for sure. I was eager to just stunt and have some fun. And I mean, Abby had been coming home around this time. She returned to Moorhead her 5th year, but she was an assistant coach that year. Um, but she was kind of done with school. She was back a lot. We were studying a lot and doing really well. She was really studying co-ed a lot more and getting her consistency back. She'd been on all girl before. We were doing some really cool stuff, and I was kind of like, well, Jack was kind of coming home, and like it just kind of became we were getting to do a little bit more, trying to do some stuff I hadn't done. It's like, you know what, maybe I can. And officially, I had stunted a couple times just with some people that we were going to return, and I think I did it on a Tuesday. It was in March, and then I think afterwards I talked with Jennifer. I told her I was like, yeah, I'd like to come back. I'm going to do one more year at least. And she was ecstatic to hear that. And the next day, COVID happens. Lockdowns, state of Kentucky. At least I don't know where they happened everywhere, but the very next day on a Wednesday in Kentucky, everything locked down. Um, schools, I mean, everything was. You guys know, you were there, you did it. So that was day one. For me, outside of like we couldn't practice, my life did not change at all. I work in the health field. It's like I was still going to work, still same shifts. Honestly, it was pretty nice. To be honest with you, for me, I know a lot of people struggle with that, but for me, man, that was like, because it was. I mean, it was a long time to really even got to have that next season started. But I remember just, I was excited about. I wanted a break, and this was giving me a break from a lot of things. A lot of things. Because, like I said, all I got to do is go to work and come home. I go to Walmart. You're not allowing that many people in Walmart at a time. And I hate going to Walmart because there's so many people in there. But I got to get groceries. There's like no lines anywhere, no lines to do this. Movies are coming out on streaming stuff quick, boom, boom. I'm like, this is awesome. Love this. Everybody's on Xbox every fucking night. Banging. Just the summer of gaming. I remember me and the boys would play games quite a bit. I mean, we were just having a good time. It was really a chance for me to reprieve from all that. And then, of course, we were stunning secretly. Abby was home because when they shut down, all the school, Moorhead shut down. She was home all the time. We were stunning every day. Jack had come back from Shelton because they shut down the school. And me and Jack and Abby were getting together and stunning a lot. Max and Brandon, to help them be ready for college tryouts, they were coming out there with me. I was kind of limited because I wasn't allowed to use anybody that was, technically I wasn't allowed to use anybody that was in high school. But I took the exception on Brandon and Max because they weren't going to be on the team next year. They were seniors. The season was over. They're not coming back. I'm not violating any rules, so they can just come out and stay with me and help them get ready for tryouts at, where they're going to go. I think to me, the moral of a lot of that story of this season just kind of became overwhelmed. A little bit of ego. I felt like we had kind of been hurting from, we had bad leadership, but I also felt like we had been hurting from lack of experience in that we'd always won. Those kids that lost that year, they came in that their freshman year was my first year there at McCracken. We didn't know what it was like to lose in nationals. Nobody had ever felt that. Anybody who ever remembered that was gone. It was just a group of kids that really hadn't lost. Or hadn't lost that much. There's a lot of success tied to that group of people. And I feel like that kind of reared its head because it's hard to prepare for things that you don't know to be prepared for. It's hard to prepare for experiences when you don't know what's coming. And someone can explain it to you all they want. But experience is not the same as data. Not the same as an information exchange. And I feel like that was a big problem for us. Is just, drama, clickiness, and, some of it's just kids being kids, but I really remember it being a problem. And I remember these are things that I don't, if we can just focus on the business, on doing the work, we can make the most, regardless of whatever's going on. Leave this at the door and make it work. And that was thinking about what we're getting ready to go into. That's a lot. But like I said, I really kind of struggled with so much throughout this year. But like I said, those last couple of months of having the COVID break were really nice for me. Getting a chance to kind of just sit at home and relax, be with my family, enjoy that. Get a break from doing that. I can go when I want and I can dictate what I want to do. The schedule always works around the kids' schedule. It doesn't always work around mine. But I have a lot of freedom to operate now. So I felt like all those things were really, really good for me. Really, really helped me get in a good headspace to decompress and separate, reflect. And then I got to work on a lot of things that I wanted to work on. And with Abby, the door was open. I can work on things that are new to me. And it's been a long time since I've done that. I worked on skills to make me better. And I'm like, I got a chance to do that now. And it was a lot easier to take care of my body because I didn't have to run around as much. There's not as many places you can go. So in general, I think at the end of this, I feel like I was in a totally different place than where I'd been 3 months prior when nationals had been over. To go from I'm so irritated, I don't want to do this anymore, to in a lot of ways I felt rejuvenated. I'd gotten that break. I'd gotten to keep the things that I wanted to keep. And there were a lot of good things happening. Like I said, Max went to Jones. Brandon Biggie going to Shelton. Jack won national championship at Shelton State that, just a few months prior. So that was exciting to see. I think Brittany had won game day, national championship with Ole Miss. So there was a lot of good stuff going on out there in the cheerleading community and stuff like that. And I think just a chance to see if we can build off that. Now that we've got this experience, now that we know that we've gone to, what can we come back? Was it all a one-shot run, or can you put the puzzle piece back together and make a newer, bigger art picture? That was the question, I think, going into this. So, like I said, I think today was just a little bit more history-ish. But going forward, we're going to talk about the COVID season. That'll be the next video. And COVID season is going to be an interesting one because there is going to be a lot of different dynamics to that, because virtually everything that we've talked about is getting ready to get thrown out the window. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share if you are enjoying this content. You can follow me here on the tube. You can follow me on TikTok at Attack on Alex, or on Instagram at Attack on Alex 64 for more, my little shortcuts, my TikToks. I'll promote when the new episodes come out. Ideally, I like to have them every week, but I'm lazy and life happens. So sometimes that doesn't happen. But I do promote everything on my social media before I post it. And also, if you are subscribing to me, you'll get notifications every time this stuff is posted up, so that you'll know as soon as I drop it. Obviously, I'll take this one, chop it up, edit it, get it all put together. But once again, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that you've enjoyed. We're getting pretty close to the end of my story that we've started. And I started this back in January. And I think we're in April now. So it's pretty crazy to me, which we've had a couple other episodes along the way. But to be here and getting closer to, I know, some hard parts, some tough parts, and, thinking about how to put the cherry on top of this. It's going to be, there's going to be some stuff that's rough. This next one specifically, it's got a lot of good, it's got a lot of bad, it's got a lot of different. Obviously, a lot of people went through COVID in a lot of different ways, but I am excited to dive into that, because it's one that I feel like there's a lot of information there. And I was really proud of the work that I did as a coach that year more than anything. I felt like there was, for me, a lot of things that I questioned or I wondered about myself, I solidified the answer. And it ended up being, I would never do that season again, but I think that it was actually the most important season of my coaching career. So we will deep dive onto that next time. Once again, follow, like, and subscribe here, Instagram, TikTok. And I will see you guys next time on Memoirs of the Father. Thank you, and good night.